Okay, hello. Um, I titled this The Shift. I might decide to change it to something different. I just couldn't figure out how I wanted to title it. But I was watching a very interesting live with Successful Ladies Live, and she was talking about the myth that it's mostly down low men who passes HIV to black women. And she went through all of the statistics, you know, did a good presentation on her video. Of course, with black people in 2016 being 12% of the population, 43% are infected with HIV, being the lowest population. Okay. And so really the point I'm trying to make. The shift I was talking about is what's happening right now. And I notice the percentage of black people keep going down, and I think, in my opinion, the percentage needs to go down very low at this point because the comment in the chat was just so telling of the zombie state of mostly black women because I just got to the point, and she talked about an article. I can't remember. It was written by some guy. I think she said it was 15 years ago, where he pretty much lied to black women, a black man, lying to black women saying it's mostly the DL black men giving you AIDS, when in actuality, according to the statistics that she actually displayed on her screen, it's a lot of heterosexual and the women, sharing community penis in their neighborhoods, and that's how HIV is really spread rapidly among black women. It's through heterosexual black men and sharing these men. Okay, because they far outnumber them. Okay, but just looking at the comments, of course, you had black guys in there deflecting and talking about black women and ghetto gaggers. See, I'm at the point that I don't want to waste time responding to things like that because I think they are. Sometimes I think nothing's in these guys' bodies. It's like they're just some kind of shell walking around. And so when they, you talk about something that's serious and he wants to bring up ghetto gaggers, but she's reading statistics, you can't respond to that because you realize some kind of shell walking around and they're being controlled. It's like somebody else has some kind of remote control controlling these guys, and their bodies are just moving around. That's how I feel about most of them. That's why I don't respond, because it's just going to be a waste of your time and energy, and it's not going to make sense, and you'll lose brain cells. But I want to get on the zombie nature of a lot of people. It was a woman, and it might have been a woman. I'm not going to be 100% sure of that because I know you got people who troll and pretend to be something that they're not. But it was a lady, supposedly, who was talking about, well, I don't want mixed children because it will increase colorism. This is what he said in chat. I don't want mixed children because it would increase colorism. So I guess people in the chat were encouraging black women to, date other men because of a lot of black women are being affected by heterosexual black men. Okay. So then she said, saying that she don't want to really date outside of her race because of her circles of, I guess, of black women and black people. They just stick to their own race. But here's what I'm going to talk about the shift, because it's not just her comment. Her comment is an example, if that is indeed a woman. Hers is just one example. I was just reading the chat, and I just didn't see too many people taking this seriously. And black women are dying. Black women are dying. And I just didn't see people really taking it serious. And this is a serious matter. I remember Hillary Clinton, and I don't think this is about HIV. I think this is about, I can't remember what this was about. I don't know if it was the deaths after births and during pregnancy, but Hillary Clinton brought up something interesting about what was happening to black women years ago. And I forgot exactly what it was about, but it was related to a lot of deaths of black women. And she said, had it been white people, it would have been a crisis. Okay. And I know we can talk about how nobody cares about black women, but black women got to care about themselves. Okay. white women, of course they have patriarchs that run the world, but they had to fight and disagree with their group of men to be valued, really, to really be valued for who they are, okay? And a lot of their men hate them to this day, but they still going to stick to their guns. I'm not going to say I agree with everything they do, but at the same time, it's really not my concern what they do either. But what I'm saying is whatever they decided to do that benefited them, whether I agree with it or not, it's not about me disagreeing with what white women do for themselves. My point in saying is that when white women have decided to go against their men for what they feel like benefited them, they didn't care about what these guys had to say. They didn't care about these guys trolling and, saying, what about this? What about this? What about this? They stuck to their guns and they did what they wanted to do. Same thing with a lot of Asian women. When they felt like they would put, white women were being put on the pedestal and not them. And Asian women, it was a time that a lot of the guys did want that typical, featured those European features in the blonde hair and the blue eyes that was being heavily promoted, to the point where a lot of Asian women were showing a lot of self-hate. They were trying to take the slant out of their eyes. So they were going through those problems too, because a lot of their men back then were celebrating those European features. Well, Asian women said, forget this, on top of, a lot of females having to be aborted because they wanted the male domination. Okay. And it got to a point where those agents woke up and said, no, not anymore. Do you think those Asian men agreed with those Asian women sticking together and sticking to their guns? No. So my thing is that, and I understand Black women have a different history and we keep going through that. But the problem is the Black women are just dying, and that's just the fact of the matter. They are dying. So we can talk about history all we want to. We can talk about slavery. We can talk about the Black Panthers. We can talk about the civil rights. We can talk about how they've been programmed. We can talk about all those things. But the fact of the matter is they are dying Black women, that is, are dying at a very rapid rate. And they are dying by their own group of men. And what I saw in the chat was just not really taking this seriously. But I'm going to tell you something. Successful Ladies Live was talking about how she's just trying hard to get this information to Black women because Black women have been lied to. And she's trying hard because a lot of these women that have these gossip channels, a lot of these Black people on YouTube, other than these pro-Blacks, because we know what they into that white supremacy hustle. Okay, we already know that. But then you got a lot of Black women that's into a lot of gossip and celebrity gossip because they want to get the views. And so talking about what's really killing Black women is not paying the bills. Okay. And so that is what's really hurting the Black collective. I mean, they can get on swirlers and people who expand their options all they want to. But these Black women with these popular channels and voices, not just on you, in the media, period. And they want to be blah, blah, blah. They don't want to tell Black women the truth of what's really killing them. They are the true problem. They are the biggest problem, okay? Because Black women are dying at a very rapid rate. And, Successful Ladies Live was talking about how she's just really, really trying to get this information out because Black women have been lied to. Here's the thing, though. Black women have to seek the information. The information is out there. The same way she researched that information to do that live video, Black women can seek out information if they really, really cared about their lives. Okay. But we see that a lot of them don't, because who do they subscribe to? Look at the Black YouTubers with the highest subscribers, and you can see where a lot of Black women's priorities are. So the problem is that they're not really interested in anything that will save their lives. They're just not really interested. And it's unfortunate. The shift. I called it the shift, and I don't know if I'm going to change it, but I was talking about the energies shifting on this planet, and it's shifting. It's going to shift heavily amongst this Black collective. I can't help but notice that the percentages are going down of Black people. Black women are dying. That means not too many more babies will be born. But even when these Black women have multiple babies, they're being shot dead in the street. Black people are being taken out by themselves. And I think it's done purposefully. Yes, some people can call it propaganda. I don't care what they call it. I think it's done purposely by the universe and by nature, because it's time to get rid of those type of energies that don't serve anybody's highest good. It doesn't serve an animal's highest good. It doesn't serve a plant's highest good. The consciousness of the Black collective as of right now doesn't serve any good. And I'm talking about the collective consciousness. I'm not talking about one or two and a few individuals. I'm talking about the collective consciousness of Black people right now. Don't serve anybody or anything any highest good, nothing at all. And I think that they're just going to be taken out. It's not going to be about a white man. It's not going to be about no propaganda. It's because they don't care about their own mortality. They just don't care. Black women don't care about their own mortality. People can get in the comment section and say, well, Black women care. It's just this, and that. Making excuses for them to stay on these gossip channels, for them to stay on these Black men's channels. You want to make excuses for these ladies. No, it's no excuse. Their priorities is where they are. Where you see them is where their priorities are. And it's just what it is. I'm not making excuses for them. I'm not going to do it. Okay? Now, I talked about the chat because what if there had been a group of white women or a group of Asian women looking at their mortality rate like that? 43% of Black people, 43% of whatever, and they're at a high risk of contracting HIV, like the highest group as far as women in the United States contracting HIV. What would any other non-Black women have to say? What would any other non-Black women have? Do you think they would take it seriously? So I'm looking at how a lot of Black women respond compared to how maybe other non-Black women would respond to their just being completely wiped out like that. Okay, completely being wiped out. And this is why I made an audio called Study Non-Black Women More. And the reason why I say study Black women more is because it's not to be like anybody else. I say study them. Study them, see how they move, because right now the way the group of Black women move, with the exception of a few, but the way the group of Black women are moving right now is really causing them to die, and I do mean literally, it's causing them to die off. So it's time to. It's great that they got all this education, but they're still dying. They're still dying. And I used to work in a pharmacy. It's not just the Bonquishas and all these different women that you want to, and the ghetto gaggers. I'm going to tell you something about these ghetto gaggers and these women in porn. They are probably the cleanest because they really protect themselves. They don't get pregnant and they use all kinds of contraception. I think a lot of these other so-called virtuous Black women can probably learn something from these prostitutes, okay? Because these women, they don't have all these children and they know everything about contraceptive. People need to stop judging them, okay? But, and I learned that from looking at a documentary. Those are some of the cleanest people. Because they know they put themselves at greater risk. So when you put yourself at greater risk, then you take every precaution possible not to contract anything. Not the same with other heterosexual Black women who feel like they with that one good Black man and they can just let their guard down. They are the most vulnerable group of people on the planet. Those are the most, not the prostitutes, those type of Black women who are heterosexual with that one good Black man and they want to just be vulnerable. Just relax. Those are the most vulnerable people right there. And so, yeah, I was talking about study non-Black women, but not to become them, not to be them, but study them because it's this collective consciousness, and I'm talking about among Black women right now. It is so unhealthy. It is it's just killing Black women, literally killing Black women off, literally. And that's why I say study another group of people, see how another group of people move, because right now this is just too unhealthy. Okay, be around another group of people who care about themselves, who care about their image. Okay, like I know some people feel like white women are their enemies. From what I've witnessed, Black women are bigger enemies to each other than the white women are their enemies. Okay, from what I just witnessed lately. Okay, black women are the biggest enemies of other black women than white women are. Okay, and that's not to say that white women should be trusted, but I'm just keeping it real. There's no need in closing your eyes and being in denial. Black women are the biggest enemies of black women, and it's just what it is. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so that's all I gotta say. I was just talking about how just the way the conversation was on such a serious topic. It's like a lot of black women are not taking their mortality seriously. And they allow these black guys to get in the comments and want to bring up ghetto gaggers and all this other stuff dealing with black women, and they get what you call it, distracted. They get distracted, and that's why I brought up how white women came up with with their groups, regardless of whether white men liked it or not, if they get mad or not, they stuck to their guns. The same thing with Asian women, and the same thing with some of these Middle Eastern women. I showed a video, but I put it on unlisted. But some of these Middle Eastern women are forming these women's groups, and they tired of these men in the Middle East being subjected to so much abuse from these men in the Middle East. So they taking a stand too. Okay, so and they don't care. It's the men would never agree with it. You might have a few men that'll go along with it, but for the most part, the men will never agree with women wanting to be treated like a human being. The men would just never agree. And so these other groups of women, regardless of how the men feel, stuck to their guns because they love themselves more. They love themselves enough to stick to their guns. And black women are not loving themselves, and regardless of the history of the United States and all the reasons why they are like that, they're still dying. So it's getting to the point where we can't keep making excuses because they're dying. But I really feel like a lot of people are just amongst this black collective, they're just meant to die because those energies that they're holding, that is not for anybody's highest good, needs to be replaced. And it can't be replaced with a group of people who are very narrow-minded, that they cannot look at any other perspectives. They can't get outside of their own mind, which is hard to do. It takes work. But it's too many people amongst the black collective that will not get out of that stuck type of energy that's very, very low field. They can't get out of it. And so they are dying for that reason, because it's time to replace it with some new energies. And that's where the younger people, the children are going to grow up. But these people got to get taken out first. They got to get wiped out first for these younger kids to have a future. Okay. And those black women who have divested from that type of mindset. Okay, because divestment is really divesting from a mindset, divesting from a particular consciousness. Because I've seen black women who date interracially, dating white men, and they expect these white men to march in the street every time a black man gets shot. So it's not even about dating interracially that causes you to really divest. It's really a divestment from a particular consciousness that black people have, and that's a poverty consciousness. It's a consciousness of death. That's what they hold, and that's why they are dying off. A lot of black women are dying off because they hold that consciousness, and they're dying off because it needs to be replaced. I mean, people are trying to talk to them, and they still allow these guys to control their minds, and it's nothing that anybody can do. The only thing you can do is lead them to the water, but you cannot make them drink. And for that reason, in order for the new generations coming up to have a future, they have to go, and that's just what it is. But anyway, that'll be it, and I will talk to you soon.